Hi everybody and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host Nancy Byrne and we are in the Grand Gallery here at City Hall where there is a brand new exhibit called Living Stones. We're going to take a closer look a little bit later on. But first, there's really no denying that the city of Las Vegas embraces the arts. We have galleries like this across the city. We have museums, cultural events, and of course we have the Smith Center for the Performing Arts. Like everyone else, it had to shut its doors during the pandemic, but they reopened those doors on July 14th to announce the upcoming season in grand style.
During these 482 days, the only light that lit this stage was this light, our ghost light. In the theater business, we count on the ghost light to keep us safe. Today, we get to relight our theater. And I get to say to our lighting department for the first time in 482 days, here's our cue, light the house.
And with that moving and symbolic gesture, President and CEO Myron Martin opened the Smith Center's 2021-22 season. Little time was wasted before we were presented with a sneak peek of one of the performances that will be seen on this very stage, the world premiere of An Officer and a Gentleman.
Lynette's looking for a way out of this dead-end town. She didn't bank on falling in love with the guy or on him being black.
I get lost in your eyes, and I feel my spirits rise and soar like the wind. Is it love that I am in?
For a while, it seems Mayo's found his soulmate in Paula. But wounds from the past get in the way of their future.
You've got no one to blame for your unhappiness. You've got yourself into your own mess. Oh, let your worries pass you by. Don't you think it's worth the time to change your mind?
A world premiere is a fitting way to invite the audience back into what Martin calls the city's living room. But there are other great things coming to this stage as well.
The upcoming season is full of hits, including the great Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Cats, which has been out for a while, but it makes its Smith Center debut. It opens our Broadway season.
Even without the 482 days we were denied this world-class performing arts center, this upcoming season would be one not to miss.
For the Smith Center to turn our lights on for the very first time today was so emotional. And when I think about, bringing all of our guests back into the building and entertaining them and inspiring them, it really did get to me.
Aside from Broadway shows and other live performances, the Smith Center features headliners in music and dance from all different genres. For more information, go to thesmithcenter.com. One thing that did not shut down during the pandemic was construction, particularly on our roadways. In fact, if you travel downtown on Las Vegas Boulevard between Stewart and Sahara, you may have noticed there's a little road improvement project going on, causing a few travel headaches. We caught up with some city engineers to ask them how much planning goes into this to keep our workers safe and cause as few headaches as possible, and the short answer is a lot. While it may look like an orange cone obstacle course that was haphazardly thrown together to test drivers' patience, it is actually a very well thought out and carefully planned work zone with the safety of construction workers, motorists, and pedestrians in mind. Welcome to the Road Improvement Project on Las Vegas Boulevard from Sahara to Stewart. We're in the thick of it right now, but our city traffic engineers start planning how to navigate zones like this as soon as a permit is submitted.
So the general contractor needs to get a permit, and we at the city have a team dedicated just solely for reviewing and enforcing the conditions of the permit. In the last year alone, they reviewed almost 11,000 submittals.
In order to plan the proper and safest routes along work zones, there are many things the traffic team takes into consideration.
Things we're looking for and the contractor is putting forth are what is the roadway classification? Yet clearly something would be different for a neighborhood street versus a freeway. We also look at the volume of traffic on the road, if it is near transit stops or a school zone, and also, which is really key in the downtown area right now, is it adjacent to another construction project with another work zone, and how they coordinate together.
Like right now we're taking a look at some of the pedestrian path that Las Vegas Paving has put in. So for example, if the work is going on say the east side of the road, they want to make sure that there's a clear pedestrian path on the west side.
Planning and implementing the cone zone is not the end of the work. Tony Esposito is an engineer with Public Works and part of the Traffic Operations Division. He took us out to Las Vegas Boulevard on one of the many trips they take each day to make sure everything from signage to barriers are where they should be.
Every morning, one of us from our office will drive the whole construction site. We'll make sure all the cones and barrels and Type 3 barricades are in place for that exact reason. As you can see here, you know, if let's say we're driving in the morning, something's out of place, we'll make a phone call. Las Vegas Paving's crews will get out there, make the adjustments, and make sure that their workers are safe.
It's not only the workers' safety the city and contractors are concerned with. To keep pedestrians and cyclists from injury or worse, temporary sidewalks, proper barriers, and relocated bus stops are almost always required as a project progresses.
One of the first concerns we're taking a look at are pedestrian safety issues. We want to make sure that they have a clear, defined path so they can get safely through the work zone. Another one would be business access. We want to make sure all the businesses, they have a driveway in and out. For our RTC bus stops, we want to make sure that, you know, if one bus stop has construction going on, that it's moved so people can get safely on and off the buses.
Making sure the route is safe is a big part, but not the only part of what the city does during and before a road is torn up. Warning residents and businesses this is going to happen is another major task.
One of the biggest things here is really providing advance notice for people either traveling through or about to approach a work zone. So that would be things like static signage or electronic changeable signage. Making sure we have good public notifications either via email or social media.
Our Public Works Department, the Traffic Division, the general contractors, and city leaders do what they can to keep inconvenience to a minimum during a project like this. But above all, safety is what matters at the end of the day for residents and for the men and women who work out here, so close to moving vehicles, frustrated drivers, and often brutal heat.
And on average, there is a crash every 5 minutes in a work zone in the United States, and there are 2 deaths per day via crashes in work zones. So really, if we can get motorists first and foremost to slow down, remember that fines double when you get a ticket in a work zone. You know, try to plan your trip accordingly. Either avoid the route entirely, and if you can't, maybe just leave a little bit earlier, plan your trip that way.
And think of this, in 2023, when the Las Vegas Boulevard project is done, we'll hardly remember the dust and disruption, right?
So it's really what we call a complete streets. Beautification, really making the road more attractive for all users. So we'll have pedestrian facilities, it'll have shade trees and other amenities. It'll be much more geared around safety of all users.
If you see something through these construction zones that need attention, a keep right sign or a flashing light that's not flashing, you can go to seeingorange.rtcsnv.com and let the appropriate people know. Or you are welcome to contact the city's Transportation Division for traffic-related concerns at 702-229-6331. It really will be beautiful and very safe, whether you're driving, walking, cycling, or on a bus. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you about a program that is saving and improving lives with a simple conversation. Congratulations to the City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month, Gregory Gray. Greg is a community program technician who works to help those in need in our community. He works closely with our communications department, where many inquiries come in through our social media channels from residents desperately looking for help, people in need of food and water, people not knowing where to turn. Greg's kindness to these individuals is unparalleled. He personally reaches out in every case to offer whatever service he can and to help connect them to the proper resources. Greg has been helping our city's social media team assist residents for years. And of course, over the last year, he has really stepped it up even more as the number of people in need grew during the pandemic. For affecting and improving each life he touches, Greg is making a true difference in our community. For that, we say thank you and congratulations to Greg Gray, the City of Las Vegas Employee of the Month.
Hey man, I know your bus stop is just right there, and it sucks that the closest crosswalk is way down there. And you know what else would suck? You getting killed crossing the road right here.
If you won't listen to anyone else, at least listen to you. Save yourself. Walk smart. Paid for by the Nevada Departments of Public Safety and Transportation.
You're right, as always.
I know you're hungry. Starving.
Those cheeseburgers and fries smell so good.
Yeah, but it sucks that I have to drive all the way home before digging in. But it'll suck even more if you got you killed driving while distracted by a cheeseburger.
If you won't listen to anyone else, at least listen to you. Save yourself. Put down distractions, even if they're tasty. Paid for by the Nevada Departments of Public Safety and Transportation.
Totally worth the wait.
Welcome back to City Beat from the Grand Gallery right here in the lobby of Las Vegas City Hall. If I were to ask you what are the leading causes of death in the United States, you would probably guess cancer, heart disease, and you would be correct. But the 10th leading cause of death in the United States is death by suicide. It's unfortunate because there are so many resources out there to help prevent suicide, as well as resources to help people deal with the loss because of suicide. We caught up with a man who credits one local program with helping him cope after he lost his father to suicide.
In June of last year, June 21st, on Father's Day, I lost my father to suicide. It's probably the most difficult thing I ever had to deal with.
Ben Gutierrez has a large, loving family, friends, and a husband of 3 years. They all wanted to help him get through the loss of his father, but his family was going through it too, and other loved ones simply didn't know how to help.
And then when it comes to my best friends and, and my husband, I quickly realized that they didn't really know what to tell me. Of course they were there and being supportive, but they just didn't know what to say. And so that's what made me want to reach out to people who understood that what had possibly gone through the same thing I did.
So he did a little research and landed here, the website for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. He filled out a quick information form, and the very next day he was paired up with a volunteer with the Foundation's Healing Conversation program, someone who had been through a similar experience.
I mean, he also lost somebody who was also in the military, and after that first initial email, we exchanged phone numbers and we ended up talking over the phone. And it was a little awkward at first, talking to a stranger over the phone about, but he was very inviting, very, just telling me, saying that I could just tell my story and just, tell me what happened. And, I just eventually just let it all out.
He says this voice at the other end of a phone line was a lifeline for him. Here, there was no judgment and no need to be hesitant about expressing feelings. As a former military man himself, he felt he was supposed to help everyone else cope, but he needed help too.
I felt like with my family, I always held back in terms of like what I was thinking because I didn't want to make them super emotional. And with him, it was just going, I was able to open up completely.
Basically what it is there are trained volunteers. All of us who are trained will be able to provide support for people that also have a loss by suicide.
Michelle Freeman is the board chairperson for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or AFSP. The foundation focuses on 4 strategies: funding scientific research, education, policy advocacy, and matching people up who've been through a situation involving suicide with people who need an understanding ear. That pairing is a vital aspect of healing conversation, which makes the brief form that must be filled out so important.
The form allows us, so the person that's going to set you up with someone that's best suitable for your specific conversation, it allows us to know a little bit about the journey you've already been on, what your loss is, who your loss was, and anything else that you might want us to know. For instance, if you have a religious preference or something of that sort.
Freeman says it usually only takes that one opening conversation with the trained volunteer to help steer those suffering from the loss onto a road to recovery.
It's not meant to be a replacement of counseling. It's not meant to take over the journey that you're on with your grief counselor, perhaps. It's not meant to be an ongoing relationship for the rest of your life. It's meant to give you resources, provide you hope and comfort during your time, and to make sure that you know that you're not alone, that other people are here for you that have experienced a similar loss and have a nice listening ear so that you can feel a little bit of that comfort during your time of need.
Ben has advice for others in his situation.
Keeping things bottled up is not very, it doesn't work well all the time. So being able to get things off your chest and, just talk to a random stranger who understands what you went through I think would help you as well.
He says he learned and healed more in a 2-hour conversation with the Foundation's volunteer than he had in the months after his father's death trying to cope on his own. But he knows there's more work ahead.
It's ongoing. It's not like it's over, it's like it's never really over. So it's just an everyday type of struggle. But with Healing Conversations, I feel like it's always there if I need it, and so I could always go back to it if necessary, and I could open up to the person that I originally opened up to.
If you or someone you know has lost a loved one by suicide, you're invited to visit the website at afsp.org. And we want to thank Ben for coming forward. Your courage and your story are going to help others. Every year during the 4th of July weekend, the Animal Foundation is inundated with pets, mostly dogs, that run from the sound of fireworks out of fear. They run from their homes, they run from their yards, and this year was no different. The Animal Foundation took in about 600 dogs between July 1st and the 10th. So we want to remind you once again that while most of those dogs are never reunited with their owners, those that are happy from snout to tail. We want to tell you how to protect your pet from fireworks and storms, and how to find a pet that's been lost. These dogs all tried to run away from the noise we know as 4th of July fireworks, but they don't understand what those bangs and explosions are, so they just run. Now, fortunately for these pups, they ended up here at the Animal Foundation and not injured or killed out on the streets.
The sound of fireworks, very scary for pets. They bolt and they run to try to find safety.
While the July 4th holiday is notorious for an influx of frightened pets, mostly dogs, here at the Animal Foundation, storms can have the same effect. So year-round, Kelsey has advice on calming your pets.
So your best bet as a pet owner before those fireworks start, or even if there's a storm coming into town, you want to make sure you create a safe space in your home. So a crate would be best, but a small bathroom or a closet, their favorite treats, the blanket, they have anti-anxiety medication and jackets that you can also use to keep your pet calm.
Whether it's a storm, fireworks, or just a pet that gets loose and lost, you may be surprised to hear they don't often go too far from home. If you find a lost pet, check around your neighborhood before turning it into the animal control.
If you find a lost pet, the first thing you want to do is explore your neighborhood. A recent study found most lost dogs are found within a mile of their home. 42% of lost dogs are found within a block of their home. So that pet probably belongs to one of your neighbors. So you can go door to door, talk to your neighbors, post them on Nextdoor, Facebook.
Same holds true if your pet runs away. Check around the neighborhood. Make sure you have current photos and microchip.
I could talk about microchips until I'm blue in the face. I wish everyone would have a microchip. We offer microchipping here at the Animal Foundation. It's only $25. It's just peace of mind. And so that'll be the first thing that happens when they come to the shelter. We're going to scan them to see if they have a microchip, and then we're going to reach out to you and let you know that your pet is here. Most people don't anticipate that their pet will ever go missing, but sometimes it happens. And so again, that microchip is just peace of mind that your animal will make their way home safely.
That updated microchip is how all shelters and veterinarians reunite owners with pets. If you have not microchipped or updated your pet's microchip, remember the Animal Foundation updates its website constantly, so it is a good place to search for a lost pet after searching your neighborhood. And by the way, it's also a good place to search for a new pet. Of course, you can always stop into the adoption center. Now, post-COVID, you no longer need an appointment.
We have adoption counselors that will match you with the right pet. We have more than just dogs and cats. A lot of people think we just have dogs and cats. We have pigs, chickens, chinchillas, you name it, we probably have it.
The Animal Foundation website is appropriately animalfoundation.com, and the number to call is 955-5901. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to turn to different types of animals. Animals we're afraid of, but apparently we shouldn't be.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities, and this cat makes me make art, because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
As we come out of this pandemic, businesses need help. At the Vegas Chamber, we've partnered with Workforce Connections to make this happen.
These business hubs can help you find qualified candidates, build an effective hiring process, explore training options, and connect you to funding resources.
These resources are real and available to all businesses in Las Vegas. Connect online or visit your local Employee NV Business Hub today.
Welcome back to City Beat from the Grand Gallery at Las Vegas City Hall. You know, there's a day set aside for just about everything. July 14th is Shark Awareness Day. July 16th is World Snake Day. Well, Sue Levitt gets up close and personal with both of those cuddly animals in this Discover the Fun.
Hello everyone, I'm Sue Levitt here at the Natural History Museum in downtown Las Vegas to celebrate and recognize a couple of creatures that tend to get a bad rap. These are animals that most of us will steer clear of. But as you'll discover with us, these creatures that cause us so much fear are really a lot less threatening than you think.
I can't believe I'm going to do this.
Yeah, just like that.
Okay, and just let him...
And we'll just move really slow and gentle.
Okay.
And trust me, you will not have a problem. He loves women.
The snake slithering around my arms is a little gopher snake that is very common to the Las Vegas area. Most will mistake this snake for a rattlesnake, but as you can see, he has no rattler. But the gopher snake is smart and will sometimes mimic a rattlesnake by shaking his tail to protect himself from predators. But really, this little guy is completely harmless.
They really are friendlier than they look.
I didn't plan on holding a snake today, but after a little coaxing, I'm glad I gave it a try. Like most people, I've always been scared of snakes.
I knew he was going to do that. I knew it. Oh
yeah,
boy.
But it's because you got this.
July 16th is World Snake Day, and a good time to learn more about the creatures that cause us so much fear.
California king comes from around here, and of course all those vipers. The Mojave Green, I think, is one of the most dangerous.
There are 3,500 different snake species all around the world. Less than 25% of snakes are venomous, and only 200 species of snake pose a considerable risk to human life. So on World Snake Day, we don't suggest you go out and start petting any snake you come across, but instead, why not visit the Natural History Museum to learn more? And while you're here, you can also learn about another creature we celebrate on July 14th as part of National Shark Awareness Day. Sharks have received a pretty bad reputation, mostly from movies and media that tend to hype up shark attacks. These little bamboo sharks you see here are part of the shark exhibit, aimed to provide education and awareness of the importance of sharks to the ecosystems of our world's oceans.
I learned about sharks. They could actually eat. They are the megalodon. Is way bigger than the great white.
Trevor also learned that while we are deathly afraid of sharks, sharks are generally more afraid of us. And rightly so, since humans kill 100 million sharks a year. Worldwide, sharks only cause an average of 7 deaths and 70 reported attacks a year. We certainly don't want to underplay the importance of being alert of the dangers of sharks, but at the top of the ecosystem, they do play an important role in helping keep our oceans healthy by eliminating weak and sick members of ocean fish species, keeping the whole system in balance.
It was good because this is my very first time seeing a real shark.
And of course, there are plenty of other real animals and things to come discover and see at the Natural History Museum.
A kind of a magical building that people would just love to see once they know it's here.
I think it's awesome.
And we also think the museum is pretty awesome. Now, if you'd like to come visit the Natural History Museum, it's located at 900 North Las Vegas Boulevard. We hope we've inspired you to discover and learn a little more about sharks and snakes. We'll see you next time for more Discover the Fun.
Sue Levitt, thank you so much for that story. I can share with you that before she left for the museum, the last thing she thought she would be doing is cuddling with a snake. So way to go, Sue. Well, that does it for the City Beat. We want to thank you for joining us from the Grand Gallery here at Las Vegas City Hall. The exhibit that's on display right now is called Living Stones by artist David Baird. We'll see you for the next City Beat. Find out what's going on all over the city of Las Vegas by subscribing to the City Beat e-newsletter. Simply scan this QR code to get a preview of each show twice a month.